Good morning. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And this summer we're talking about activities that families can do at home with their kids to keep the learning going. And we're offering a new inspiration every day. And we're calling the series Charter a Summer of Learning. Got to keep the charter theme going, right? And I'm so excited about the guest we have today, Nancy Kim Sheridan. And she is the mom of 4 kids, and she's been teaching them about financial responsibility from a young age. So that's the topic. And my family, we're kind of at the stage of like good intentions, but not a lot of follow through. So I was really excited to read her post. And there's a link in the description, and it's just full of resources like games and books and just activities you can do. But let me introduce Nancy. So let's see. So it's your oldest just graduated from high school, right? Is heading off to college, and your youngest is 10, right? So about 4 kids total, boys and girls. Let's see, your husband is a publisher of business books, a certified financial peace university counselor, and you are a family and trauma counselor at Liberty Alliance Group. So I'm so thankful that you wrote the post for us and that you're here today to share about teaching financial responsibility and money management to kids. So one of the things in the post I liked is that you have activities geared to start even at a really young age. So can you talk about like the game with the quarters or with the coins that you would do, and why it's important to start at a young age?
Well, when your children are really young, everything is really about kind of play and figuring out what works for them, what captures their interest, right? And I was noticing that just in terms of obedience training, I mean, teaching children, you have to follow through and you have to obey mommy and things like that, just very basic things. I felt like I was chasing after children who weren't listening to me. Just, I just felt like everything was
Oh
going
yeah.
there. Oh my gosh. And I had, my husband was deploying constantly during that time when my children were preschoolers and toddlers. And so it was a little bit chaotic and I felt like everything was haywire. So in order to make things simpler for me, I was trying to create sanity and some peace in my home by putting more responsibility on my children as young as they were. So one thing, I think it was Larry Burkett, one of the books that he wrote. It might have been Dave Ramsey. I don't know. That those years were kind of a blur. But what they suggested was putting stacks of quarters for a weekly kind of practicing obedience or practicing whatever it is you're trying to practice. So the stacks of quarters on the dresser, you left them there. They weren't to play with it, but they could see. So it was like a visual that would help them develop muscle memory. Okay. And it would help them instead of me nagging them, repeating myself, which, you do as a mom. But and they would run and hide rather than go and do what I asked them to do. Like go put this in the garbage, oh, let me run somewhere else. So I would put those stacks there and we would talk about what helped you keep the stack of quarters and what helped me have to take any of the quarters. And we talked about obedience. We talked about the different things. And so that visual really helped. At the end of the week, they could take some quarters to a gumball machine, or they have those little toys and things, like wherever they insert quarters, they're like, wow, this is so much fun. And I would just reinforce, the better you do practicing obedience, doing good things, being helpful, you get to keep more of those. It's really about practicing all of that. That was the first visual that I came up with that really worked.
I think there's so many good elements to that, right? It's visual. They can look at it. They don't have to keep asking you or communicate about it. Like it's visual. And then I like how you're tying money in with the work and also with the reward, right? I think for kids sometimes like money is too abstract, but like the quarters are very visual, and then being able to like spend the quarters on something and get like a quick reinforcement, right? And then they're tying it in with like, they're doing things that really help you, that really, because as moms, we get overwhelmed and we want more help, but we get tired of asking for it and having it fall on deaf ears. So then they could see it and they could listen and help.
And it was helpful because it put more responsibility on them to choose, make right choices.
Yeah.
And there's some gratification there. So for me, I felt like I was chasing them around, trying to make them do things, and then I could step back and feel like some of the pressure was off of me. So that was really helpful just for my personal peace, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think it's great that, the kids can do chores maybe more than we expect at a young age, and then and they can start to learn about the meaning of money, at a young age too. Um, and then, but what's great about your post is that you've got activities geared towards a lot of different ages, right? So, like all the way up to teenagers, like, like your kids, they do work, they work in the family business, right? And but even if there's not a family business, like, maybe they get a job outside the home, right? If they're doing babysitting or tutoring and stuff. So, so what kind of tips do you have for, like, as teenagers start to earn their own money? What kind of activities can they do that'll help them be good stewards of that?
Well, one of the things that I realized was that teenagers need to know how to manage their checkbook. I mean, I think nowadays
Yeah,
everything is virtual, but um, young people need to know. I mean, a lot of young people, adults, don't even know how to manage a checkbook. And so
yeah,
you can teach them how, and I put some links to of activities and different websites that have worksheets and whatever. I just tried to collate some things that would help because it's not an easy thing to teach so much as it's something that has to be done. And the more
right,
you do it, the better it gets. I mean, these are skills that I didn't leave my home with, growing up. My parents were both busy working and they didn't manage to pull together these kinds of things. And so they were things I had to learn as an adult, making all kinds of mistakes. So because of that, I thought, okay, I have these four children. It would be great to give them some tools that I wasn't necessarily given, and so they're learning and they're processing this information and they're making mistakes. And one thing that I try to tell parents, a lot of young parents come into my office and they're distraught because they feel like they're doing everything wrong. And I remember those years and I try to help parents have grace for themselves. One thing is children need enough time and space to make mistakes in your home. This is the job of parents.
yeah,
So repetition is parenting. If you are having to repeat yourself or having to come at the same topic in all different directions, okay, it means that you're doing your job. Um,
yeah,
a-
yeah,
it's not a failure to have them question, have them fail at a task or to make mistakes doing it. That is the parenting. That is the process of building muscle memory to learn good habits. So it's grace. I mean, grace
yeah,
filled parenting is so key because this is not instant gratification for any parent. This is building over the long haul. And even you may be waiting for some gratification until your children have children growing up, right? And then they're like, oh, that's what mom meant. I mean, it may catch really, really late. So
yeah,
the point of it is to build enough opportunity for them to practice learning and practice
yeah,
what you're trying to share with them. And as a homeschool mom, I mean, you can relate. I mean, I think the job of a homeschool mom is not to be the one with all the knowledge. The job of a homeschool mom is to be able to collate resources. Okay.
right, oh, that is
All
that is so true. Yeah,
I felt like I was an event coordinator. I mean, I didn't feel as a homeschool mom, I didn't feel like I had it all together because my brain I felt was leaking out of the side of my head during those homeschool
right,
years. So that wasn't why I felt like my kids got some good things during homeschooling. It was 4 years and it was a struggle. But what I felt that I did well was I tried to either purchase, borrow from the library, borrow from friends, join co-ops, just try to plug into as many resources beyond me as possible. And that's what I tried to do with the article. I just tried to put as
yeah,
many links and as many resources, things that helped us, things that have helped other people, because you will not use all of them. You will never
right.
use the best list, that anyone gives you. You will pick and choose things that work for your family. And so the more resources you have, don't get overwhelmed like, oh, if I don't do all.
Right. No, don't feel guilty. Yeah, it's a beautiful long post. Yeah, nobody should feel like they have to use all of them. Just find what works.
just use, a few things that help you, and it will be a blessing. If it's not, it will become a burden, and that's not the point of any of the resources. It's just do a little bit at a time, and it helps your children.
Yeah, I want to come back. You made a really good point about like as a homeschool mom, you're finding resources, and also like you're the one guiding them to build those habits. Because I think that's one of the hardest things for kids is like they don't have the life experience and they don't have the foresight to know like this is the action, this is the consequence, or like But then and I think like as adults we know like if you have good habits and you keep with them over time, it really pays dividends. And then making good choices isn't hard. It's a habit. It's something you do automatically. And that applies to, whether it's, like reading a little bit every day, right? And then your kids have a better vocabulary and they have more knowledge about the world, but it also applies to, right? And you talked about like for teenagers, like learning how to manage a checkbook. It's not something you just learn once and then you're done. It's something where you have to have a practice where you keep doing it, and then you build up that experience, and then you have just an understanding about how things work. I mean, I feel like even me, like in my journey as a founder of a nonprofit, like there's things that I'm still trying to learn and grow. How to be a good financial steward of the resources of the grant money that we get, and I'm learning better like budgeting and planning and stuff. But I mean, we're in our third year, and I've managed to get by with fairly basic budgeting, but we're trying to do longer range strategic planning. And I mean, so I mean, it's still a journey for me. And I think what you're saying is like instead of having to learn these things as an adult, let's start introducing our kids to them at a younger age. They can make mistakes when the stakes are lower, um, and then they'll have the confidence when they are adults, like with their job, or if they want to start a business, they'll have like a base of knowledge to build on because of all the good habits that they've had of practicing these skills.
Exactly. And I remember my mom balancing her checkbook, but she never thought to share what she was doing with me. And I think that's what happens most of the times between generations. We just assume they'll see us doing something and they'll pick it up, osmosis. And it takes a little more intentionality than that. And I realized too that my children aren't necessarily observing how I'm doing something. It's just that I'm doing something. So the specifics are important. Even if they don't get it fully now, at least that
Right,
they know that it's important to learn it, and they may or may not be open to learning it. I mean, each of my children have different learning styles and different personalities and different attention spans. And so I have to, operate on the knowledge that I am not fully responsible for them getting all of it. I'm
right.
just responsible for offering it, as many times as I can. And then they have to launch and apply these things, right? So if they can apply while they have my guidance, then, more power to them, right? Um,
Yeah,
so that at least that's what we hope for. And then again, like if parents become the perfectionist mindset, and they operate in that, and that's so self-defeating, then you're like, oh, it's too much, I can't do any of it. No, how about just a little bit, one thing at a
yeah,
time, and then they can build on that on their own time as they get older. But at least we can give them some framework.
right, right. Um, and I think part of it too is like, right, yeah. I mean, I think if something like money management, it feels so intimidating, and so parents tend to put it off, or they're just like, well, I'm just too busy, or like, well, I just have to get this done. I don't have time to explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it. But that's where like a lot of the resources that you present here, they're fun. They're like it's a song, it's a game. So I don't know. Can you give an example of like some of the games that you've tried out that that you played with your kids or that friends have told you about?
Just the game of life was interesting. I mean, I think there's Life Junior. We didn't play Life Junior, but there might be a Life Junior. I know we've played Monopoly. We've played Monopoly and Monopoly Junior. We played Star Wars Monopoly. I mean, anything that has play money,
Hmm.
that's a good thing to incorporate. But there's also a Robert Kiyosaki game called Cash Flow, and we didn't play Cash Flow Junior, but they have that available now. I saw online. So these are all things that just make kids feel okay. Their money. What is money? How is money used in life? What is money good for? Oh, you can buy hotels. You can buy this. You can make money. You can lose money. I mean, there's all kinds of things that, in normal everyday conversation, you might not go into these things. But when you're playing a game, great conversations come up. And so,
Yeah.
in life, you have all these different vocations. This is, you're an airline pilot, you're a teacher, you're this or that. And they also give you expenses, like how many children you have and how many, bills you have to pay. You have pets now. I mean, so you're having to realize, okay, how is it that I can live within my means? That's a question that doesn't
Yeah.
come up. Living within your means. I have a 10-year-old who every time we pass by something that he sees that's bright and shiny, or even going by a boba tea place, oh, can you buy me this? Or, oh, can you buy me that? And concept of money, no matter how much we go over it, no, you don't have to spend every last dollar you have in your hand. Okay, don't do it. He doesn't quite get it yet. So playing games with him has been really helpful because he's like, oh, I don't have enough. Oh, I'm
Right.
losing.
Having to make trade-offs. Right. Yeah.
And then he's realizing I can't win this game if I lose everything I have. So that it speaks on my behalf. I don't have to try to get that point. I can play the game and he's getting it on his own, so that, with anything, whether it's communicating with our husbands or communicating with our children, if our children or husbands believe that it's their own idea, it's more likely to be acceptable to them, right? So
Right.
game helps with that, facilitate
Yeah.
conversation.
They play the game and then they make the inference, they make the insight based on the outcomes from the game. They're like, oh, so if I spend all my money on boba tea, I don't have enough money for a scooter or a book or yeah.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
happens, and it's good. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. It is good. At our house, we have a system where the kids they put check marks on a sheet, and once they fill it out, they can pick out a toy or something to get with the sheet. If they lost a water bottle or a sweater, does this sound familiar, right? So then they have to use the check marks to replace the lost water bottle sweater. So thankfully we stopped losing sweaters, knock on wood. And but then if that way, if it's like, oh, I want this, it's like, well, do you want that more than what you wrote on the bottom of the sheet? Because you told me you were working towards, this game, but
Mm.
if you want that instead, and then it's like it's a trade-off, right? And it's understanding that these resources are not infinite, that they are finite, and that you have to make choices. You can't just
Make
take
choice.
everything. Yeah.
And I love that because you're giving them personal responsibility. And the thing is, like you were saying, hopefully it helps them not lose these things anymore, right? But the things that we're doing does not guarantee that they won't do the negative activity or the negative habit. And that's not even the point. The
Right.
action
Right.
of it, right, is not the point of it. The point of it is to develop the mindset to be able to come out of a bad habit and to develop a good one. So we're building infrastructure so much, not as the end.
Right.
I mean, that's the conversation my husband and I have all the time. And he's like, well, they are doing the wrong thing. So, it's not.
Right.
And I remind him, no, we're trying to build the foundation so that as they're launching out, they can come back to the foundation and remember what we've taught them, not that they get it right now. I mean, up until the time they leave the
Yeah.
house, maybe they get it wrong. And then parents get frustrated, right? But if we offer them enough opportunities to get it wrong while they're receiving our guidance, there will come a time when they make the decision and the choice, you know what, mom's way or dad's way was better, and I can avoid this. And like I said, there's no guarantee. And according
And
to
then the clouds part and the angels sing.
that's what we all hope for, right? But I think parents do really put pressure on themselves to make a child
Yeah.
perform right now, and that is it's self-defeating because then you hurt
Yeah.
the relationship, with
Yeah.
you and the child, because you're really mentoring and training the child, and the training requires that longevity and perseverance. Not you got it
Yeah.
wrong, you're bad, you're impossible, and all of these things. The frustration and the anger is usually the feeling of the mom's that's feeling like they failed the child.
Right. Right. Like
And
I've seen my kids like sometimes like what they choose to buy with their check marks. I'm thinking, that's not a good purchase. Like that's a cheap product. It's not going to last, or like why? But then I have to step back and say, it's their chance to make the mistake, and then later they could have if they have buyer's regret,
Yes.
and at least they may have buyer's regret on like a cheap toy at the fair instead of like buying the wrong car.
Oh my goodness, I know, right? I mean, the consequences are so much smaller in our home. So
Yeah,
yeah, so that's definitely, I mean, financial peace and responsibility is a huge part of parenting, but parenting is a huge part of parenting. I mean, just the way you go about it is important.
yeah, yeah. Well, one of the things that you bring up in the article, like a lot of the books and things tie in with entrepreneurship, and I think even if people aren't necessarily technically business owners, I think I'm just a big believer in having an entrepreneurial mindset, and that's one of the things that I love about the great ideas in education. I feel like they're bringing that entrepreneurial mindset to education, and I think it's important to encourage that in kids. But I saw that as kind of a common theme. So can you talk more about entrepreneurship? And I mean, you and your husband are entrepreneurs, and how you kind of help kids think that way as well.
Well, I realize that children and adults need a purpose as they're operating in their lives, right? And so
Yeah,
in our lives, something that's really important is our faith. And according to our faith and how we believe that we should be strong producers, and we believe in operating in abundance because we don't believe that the blessings we receive are just for us. We want to be able to overflow to others. So, trying to develop a sense of community responsibility, helping others, it kind of helps the kids keep from saying it's all about me, me, me. I want. And it's more about, okay, well, what are you gifted in? What are you good at? What are your interests? Let's maximize that and figure out how you can help the most people possible, including yourself, not excluding yourself.
right,
So,
right.
the things that my husband and I do, the causes that we support, the things the fundraisers, a lot of the moms know me as the snowflake fund crazy lady, but at our school. But I basically I try
But
to.
your work has blessed so many teachers, though. So thank you. I mean, guys, no, seriously, I'm talking to the audience. Like Nancy is awesome. She has blessed so many teachers, and not just herself, but like of rallying other people also to act in terms of abundance.
Oh, thank
So thank you.
it. And I'm not trying to teach my children you have to do everything and be good at everything, but whatever it is that you have, whatever that you've been given, let's steward that. And again, try to think outside yourself. And so I have two introverts and two extroverts, or two extroverted introverts. I think they're all on the introverted side more so than me. But so my firstborn, she learned over time that she needs to raise money to be able to go to a cause that she believes in. She helps orphans in China, by helping with the summer camp that they have in China for orphans and foster children there. And as we know, the system there is not as supportive there as it is here. And so for her, she has a heart for that. So what did she have to do to raise the money for that? I helped her by making food and selling, plates of food. And, she made items and sold them, and she babysat, and we did fundraisers and, all of that. So just getting children to think outside and beyond themselves, volunteering, fundraising, all of that. Oh my gosh, that helps so much with fiscal responsibility as an adult. You know,
Yeah,
it could be, okay, do I blow all my money on this expensive meal going out? Or can I, volunteer with Meals on Wheels and maybe offer the money to an organization that's going to help a lot of people? Expensive meal or helping like hundreds of people? There's all these choices that you're just making a child aware of. You're not trying to
hmm,
make them into, Mother Teresa at a young age. You're just trying to
right.
them. There's so many opportunities to think beyond yourself. So how can we maximize this? We have this amount. How can we turn that into a greater amount to offer?
Yeah, yeah. I think for one thing, I think like growing up, I think for me, the message that I picked up, it may not have been conscious, was that like whatever money I was able to earn should always all go into savings. But I feel like I missed out on opportunities to learn about giving back, and also trying to make smart choices for myself. Because like if I'd been able to make my own choices about what to buy, then I would have experienced, the buyer's remorse, or like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best purchase, or I should have done more research before I bought it. So what I've tried to do with my kids is like at certain times on the calendar, certain intervals. And I think we missed it with, but the idea was like quarterly. It's like, look at what's in your bank account, or look at what's in your piggy bank, and like, this much can go in the bank account. This much, buy something for yourself, so you feel like you get a reward for what you've earned, with some delayed gratification. And then think about what kind of gift you want to make. And like, so I think one time my son made a gift to a science museum where he had a camp the summer before, and he really liked the camp, and he thought that that institution was worth supporting. And so it was personal to him. Like, he felt invested in the gift. It wasn't me telling him like, well, here's some things you could do, but it was like he picked it based on his experience. He thought that was a really worthwhile organization because he had really enjoyed the camp. So
Yeah, so good. Yes. And it develops not, oh, this is something that mom made me do.
right,
You
right.
know, that
Yeah,
choice and that empowerment, you're helping your child develop, okay, what matters to me and how do I support this? How do I become a part of that? I think that is really, really helpful, and it helps mature their thinking, you know. I mean, we want our children to be, civic minded and, good character and all of that. Well, how do you instill that? By just talking. You have to have them do, again, muscle memory. I mean, the
yeah,
acts that they perform will become ingrained over time. So we're just trying to give them more opportunity to do the good things that will develop those good habits. But that's a perfect example. My goodness. And so,
he felt really good about it. I mean,
yeah,
he felt like he got to choose, and yeah,
so good, and it will remain with him for forever. That will remain with him. And so those kinds of lessons are priceless. And that's what we're doing. We're giving them those opportunities, and I have, one child who tends to be a little grumpier than the others, and I've told him, okay, what matters to you? Who do you want to help? How would you like to give back? What would you like to volunteer in? And he's a teenager, so I said, there may be, what is a local job that you can take that you feel would develop some skills for you?
right, right,
So maybe just being grumpy is just his version of introvertedness. Learn being in a situation where he has to interact with people as a part of his job will help develop that confidence, right? So
right,
it's just, not only are you trying to develop a mindset of how do I give back financially, it's how do I give back with my person? Like, how do I improve who I am so that what I'm giving and offering the world is something better than what it was before? So just the
yeah,
idea of growth mindset is really helpful too. I mean, the books on entrepreneurship, the different things that are in the list in the blog post, um, they're the books that my husband has read, I've read. My husband started reading with the kids a half hour a day. Just, okay, pick a book, we'll read it for half an hour, and let's talk about the questions that come up in it. And he's also started, and all of this, my husband kind of came late into the game because when the kids were little, he was deploying a lot and work was consuming. And so now that he's in retiree mode and he's kind of transitioned over, he's doing more like, okay, we're going to follow some YouTube channels, we're going to watch about, learn about the work global economic system. I mean, my husband thinks globally, so we're learning about capitalism, and we're learning about all of these, what does the, anyway, so it's way beyond like what I've ever gone over with them. So, which is great because the children are like, wow, I didn't know any of this. And it's for good reason because I didn't know any of this. So, they're learning things beyond that. So just exploring YouTube has been really beneficial, and answering questions, and we're learning together as a family.
yeah, yeah. And that's what, I think, I want families, like, I think that's amazing. I think, like, talking about the global economic system, I think that's such fascinating. But that's something to build up to, right? And I think the families can take away, like, a lot of the things in the blog post are very user friendly, and they're geared towards beginners, and it's geared towards like you can do it with young children, you can do it as a game, you can have fun together, and like it's funny, like the game Monopoly has come up twice this week. It came up also in a discussion about math,
Okay.
because you can see patterns in how the game board is laid out, and like as you roll the dice and like what outcome you get. So, and I think having good math sense and financial responsibility kind of go together. So, um, it's something where like having those good foundations um, really
True.
helps. Everything is interconnected.
It's all part of the learning process. But you were talking about how, I talked about the maths, the money songs, and the different things. What I've noticed going through homeschooling and then transitioning to charter school is that because we did classical conversations and then we moved to a classical school, classical conversations, and just a lot of homeschool programs have CDs and videos that are filled with songs, educational songs, history songs, vocabulary songs, president songs, math songs, everything is song. And I thought that was fabulous. I mean, I could pop in a CD in the car anywhere we're going, and it's car schooling. I love car schooling.
Yes.
It's just the best thing ever because it has nothing to do with me. It's everything to do with the kids are absorbing and soaking in these songs. And my soon-to-be senior, Kelsey, she told me the other day, she's like, I'm so thankful for those car CDs because it helped her doing history in high school at grade arts. The songs that we learned in the car when they were children remain with her, and she's like, okay. The dates would pop up or the names would pop. Charlotte
Wow.
up.
Wow.
It's like I had no idea. So if you're starting off with songs and games and toys, then it just becomes a part
Like
of
it's in the memory.
it, just enters into their memory, and it'll pop up at odd moments when they need it. And
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
how fun is that? That's like the goal, the motherlode of homeschool or school is to have something that remains with the child because it was a fun memory,
Yeah.
and it helps them in their future life. Like that is so. I mean, it doesn't have to be painful. It can be. It should be fun. If you can make it fun in any way, then the
Hmm.
sensory side of it, whether it's tactile or whether it's basically all the senses, like whatever you can incorporate, the music, listening and seeing, and if you're making a meal and you're incorporating money somehow into it, and then so you can associate memories of taste and smell. I mean, all of that, whatever you teach, not just money, but whatever you teach, the more senses that are involved, the more the concept is incorporated into the child, you know
Hmm. I think
so
that this era that we're in, these are strange times, and there's a lot of stress and a lot of suffering out there. But I think that there is a silver lining of like families spending time together, and for this kind of learning in lots of different settings
yeah,
and using all the senses and having activities and having families learning together. That I hope that these are habits that people build that they can carry with them for a
yeah,
long time in the future. 'Cause I think learning together as a family is a really good thing because we're able to pass on our knowledge,
yeah.
you know, and reinforce these bonds and the good habits that kids can learn from it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and even when we don't have the best habits, as we're learning, I mean, and I think that's the thing, "Oh, I can't homeschool because I don't know this, or I don't know that subject, or I'm not good at this." And, like I said in the blog post, I'm not a numbers person, I'm numbers adverse a lot of the time, and my children are not, partly because, first of all, my husband is a numbers guy, so I'm sure that helps genetically somehow, but the other thing is that I try to make it numbers as fun as possible because that's not how it was for me growing up, and
Right.
so I try to, offer them a different view, or, I had a teacher in 1st grade who gave up on me because I asked so many questions because I was struggling to understand some concepts, because I was an early reader and the numbers just weren't coming as easily. And so to me,
Right.
it was more difficult. And she just said, "Oh, never mind, just count on your fingers." And she dismissed me in 1st grade. And so that made me feel so poorly about myself. And I felt like I really can't do this. Even the teacher's given up on me. And so
Yeah.
for me, I realized as an adult, if I am not good at something, it's okay. I can still learn about it. I can still grow in it. So for my children, if and children are naturally hard on themselves sometimes. They think, "Oh, I'm good at this. I'm not good at this. I must be terrible." It's not just I'm not good at it. It's I'm really terrible at it, and it just kind of grows in their minds. And so I've taught my children. It doesn't matter if you're getting a perfect grade or perfect scores. It just means that you're open to learning in this area. And if it's something that's harder than normal, then it just means that you just spend a little more time, or give yourself a little more grace. But be curious, explore. And finances are the same thing. I didn't learn how to balance my checkbook until college, and in college I was already struggling with a lot of bad habits, or habits that I just hadn't developed yet. And so even balancing my checkbook was such a challenge to me. But again, if they learn it ahead of time, that's one less stress off of a child going into college and having to manage themselves on so many levels.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Thank you. Oh, these are such good messages about. I mean, I'm so thankful. Like I said at the beginning, I'm just so thankful you wrote this post because it has great resources. But like, I feel like this. So I'm going to embed this video in the post also, so people can watch this and like, learn these, kind of like your insights about parenting, right? About like letting kids make mistakes, letting them know that like they're not terrible. They can keep growing. We can all keep growing. Like it's not. We're not done yet, right? We can all keep learning.
never done, thankfully,
Yeah. Yeah.
to learn. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you have any kind of closing thoughts or like things you want people to, hold on to, while they're, guiding their kids towards financial responsibility and themselves too.
I think as parents, we are very hard on ourselves. I mean, that's kind of a universal.
Yeah.
Whether I counsel people or I'm just, they're listening to my friends and we commiserate. It's parenting is a hard, hard thing. And in this day and age, it's even harder to navigate because there's so much unknown and upheaval and transitions and things. And so I would say just make it so that you and your child are making fun memories, whatever it is you're doing, because like I said, my husband is very goal oriented and I'm more relational. And so we accomplish many great things because my husband has that, I'm going to check that off my list and I'm going to, go and do this. And that's great because, you don't move forward if you just, sit there and not, attempt new things. But the relationship between parent and child is the focus of whatever subject matter you're trying to teach them. Because as long as they trust that they can make their mistakes with you and not be condemned for it, not be judged
Yeah.
for it, that you help them explore and grow, then they will be more and more curious. They will be more exploratory. They will be more adventurous and brave. And that's just the thing. And just allowing your child to know that I will make mistakes with you and we can grow and learn together. That's why experiments at home are so great. If you do any kind of lab experiments or, just do anything like even the Mentos in the Coke bottle and it explodes everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
just,
have, we have a good one coming up later this month. We have elephant toothpaste.
oh,
We're gonna have a teacher who's gonna do a live demo. I'm so excited. Yeah.
that sounds really cool. That's
It explodes. Yeah.
it just those kinds of things remain with the kids, and the maybe the experiment itself is not so much what remains, but the fact that my mom or my dad is willing to do this with me, that's what remains. And that it makes them more confident in I don't get this right now, but I'm willing to keep trying. And I think that's the biggest concept we're trying to instill, the biggest habit, that even when things are difficult, we keep trying, we
Yeah.
keep learning. And my mom's got my back, my dad's got my back. I can mess this up, but I will get better. And that is grace from parents, grace for kids. That's going to help everybody learn more and do better. And provides that strong family support.
I think kids who are equipped with that sense of support and that sense of adventure, if they have that mindset, they will be unstoppable. and they can keep learning and growing all through their lives, and that's the best gift we can give them.
Exactly, lifelong learning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So this is
Oh,
so fun, Inga. Thank you for
yeah, thank you so much. I just feel wonderful about it. I'm gonna share this everywhere, so, like, everybody needs to listen to this. All the parents need this, so thank you so much, Nancy.
no problem. You're welcome. This was really fun. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, great. Alright, have a good day.
Bye.